I was browsing Reddit a couple of days ago and I saw a thread where they were discussing the type of guitar that is best for a beginner. Most of the responses I felt were lacking. Beginners don't really need to know about what types of guitars are meant for what type of genre. They don't really need to know what pickup output is or what most of the specs are. Beginners need a guitar that is just comfortable enough and just playable enough that they will actually play it. In this video, I'm going to tell you what you need to look for when you are shopping for your very first guitar. Just get a Strat. I'm not going to bury the lead. What you want to look for is a Strat-shaped guitar, whether it's a Fender, an Epiphone, a PRS, maybe an Ibanez, Jackson, who cares? What you want is a Strat-shaped guitar, and I'm going to give you my top reasons why. First and foremost, the comfort of playing as a beginner. The upper horn and the location of the cut right here are perfect for a beginner because it allows you to rest the guitar on your body and just worry about where your fingers are. Most beginners can't hold the guitar still while they are trying to figure out where to put their fingers for a D or an A chord. It's a lot easier to have a guitar that just chills on your body. To that end, learn how to play in the classical position. But Strats are good because you can also play on the side here, and look, no hands. This is what you're looking for. Strat-shaped guitars give you this. The upper horn rests on your upper body, and the cut right here is in a perfect balanced position. I can jiggle, this guitar ain't going nowhere. That means I can focus on where I'm putting my fingers and nothing else. When you've never played guitar before, that's what you need. Some people are going to tell you that a Les Paul shape like this is a pretty good beginner guitar, and I'm going to say no for two reasons, and two reasons only. First, it doesn't rest on the body correctly, it tilts. Put it in the classical position, maybe, but this is not resting on my body. The lack of an upper horn makes it so that there's nothing for it to lay on. There's no depth to keep it straight and orderly in my pocket. That means I have to focus on holding the guitar still while also trying to figure out how to play a goddamn D chord. There's also the Telecaster shape. The Telecaster, in my opinion, is very similar to the Les Paul in that the lack of upper horn and the weight sort of makes it want to fall out of your lap. It's fine in classical, and it does a little bit better than the Les Paul because this bulbous part here is a little bit higher than on the Les Paul, but still not quite the right balance, in my opinion. Jackson makes good Strat-shaped style guitars too. They fit perfectly in the classical position. It rests nice here with the upper horn, not going anywhere. The only issue with this specific guitar, which is the next consideration you need, is it has a Floyd Rose trem. Now I want you to see something here. This is the high E string. It's not attached. And that's because the Floyd Rose uses a special kind of saddle and a screw to hold the strings in place. And I messed up and made it pop out. This was even a fresh pair of strings. But now this string is ruined and I have to restring the guitar. As a beginner, you should stay away from anything with a trem, especially a Floyd Rose. But that brings us back to the normal Stratocaster shape. Stratocasters do have trims. They have a different trim. It is sometimes a 2-point trim, sometimes a 6-point trim. For the beginner, you don't need to know what the difference between that is. What you do need to know, though, is the strings get fed through blocks in the back, and you get to then feed them out through here, and then they go up. It doesn't have the saddles that a Floyd Rose has. Instead, it has just the slide through so that you can keep the ball end of the strings. Now the ball stays inside the guitar, and that's what keeps the string from flying out the way that the Floyd Rose guitar did. The string in the Floyd Rose guitar did. Once you have your body shape figured out, now you have to figure out what type of pickup array you're going to go for. Are you going to do 2 humbuckers? Or are you going to do hum single single? Or maybe a triple single coil, like a normal Strat? I actually think you should go for either a humbucker, single coil, and a humbucker is just two coils attached to each other, and then a single coil is one, or you should go for a triple single coil. Your typical Stratocaster has a triple single coil. The reason you should do that is for the variety of tones that you can get. With most music out there, you can use whatever tone you want. People are going to tell you what tones you should and shouldn't use. Doesn't matter. People play 80s rock on Soldano amps, Marshall amps, Orange amps, on Mesa Boogies, on all kinds of stuff. And all of those amps can also be used for blues, can also be used for reggae, can also be used for funk, especially if it has the ability to do a clean channel and an overdrive channel that has varying levels of distortion. You can do whatever you want. But some of the tone comes from the guitar. Now, the guitar with more pickups has more options for sounds. With a hum single, you have the opportunity to do the single coil neck sound, which is a very standard sound in a suite of music, all different genres, and then the bridge with a humbucker, which is kind of your standard rock and roll thing. But then you also get the opportunity to do different configurations. This specific guitar in position 3 can do the two outermost coils, so it only uses one of the bridge coils and then the neck coil. That's an interesting sound. And if you put it in position 4, because this selector has 5 different positions, then it uses the middle and the neck. And that's a very interesting sound as well. That's a sound that blues guitarists use a lot. The two humbucker guitars sometimes don't have that array. So this Les Paul, instead of having 5 options on the pickup selector and 3 pickups that to mix between, it only has 2 pickups and 3 options. So when you're all the way at the top, you're using the neck pickup. When you're all the way at the bottom, you're using the bridge pickup. And when you're in the middle, you're just using both. Now, that leads me to another consideration when it comes to tone outside of the pickups, which I definitely recommend the 3 single coils or hum single configuration, HSS they call it. You also have different controls for tones. See? This guitar has 2 volume tones, or 2 volume switches, and 2 tone switches. Now, 1 volume and 1 tone go to 1 pickup, and another volume and another tone go to another pickup. Playing with the switch and with the array of controls down here can give you a pretty wide variety of tones. On the other hand, a guitar like this with an HSS only has 2 knobs. So we have 1 volume that works for all the pickups and 1 tone that works for all the pickups. On this guitar, you can set it up so that the neck pickup volume and tone are both down or altered, but the bridge is not. This guitar doesn't really let you do that because the volume and tone applies to all the pickups. So in this guitar, you're counting on the pickups giving you the variation in tone more so than the volume and the tone knob specifically. Then there's the standard Strat layout, which has 3 knobs. 2 of these are volumes and 1 is a tone. In this particular layout, you can control the volume of some of the pickups independently of others. You can actually set it up in a bunch of different ways. This one also has a 5-way switch. So you have more versatility in this guitar, as far as tones go, than you do in the Charvel that I was holding a moment before. A note on active pickups. These are EMGs. Pretty classic. A lot of guitars have them. A lot of people put them in their guitars that didn't have them when the guitar was new. But there's a problem with EMGs when it comes to a beginner. First, they're usually geared a little more towards high gain music, and so they're a little hotter. So if you're not sure what your playing style is yet, it might not suit you in the end. But more importantly, they require a battery. See, that's a battery, a 9-volt battery. In order to make the pickups make sound, you have to have a battery in there. What that means is the battery will die over time, and it will eventually cause a loss of signal, a loss of tone, and otherwise kind of screw with your sound output. And that might make you, if you're not experienced with them yet, think that you're screwing up, when in reality you're not. So for the typical beginner, I would say stay away from active pickups. That means stay away from anything that says EMG or Fishman. If I'm shopping for my very first guitar ever, I'm looking for a Strat shape with 3 pickups, single, and then you can either do a single or a hum in the bridge position. Truthfully, I would go for something with 2 knobs, because occasionally the knob closest to the strings can get in your way. And I would avoid a trem if at all possible. Now, you're not always going to find Strat style guitars without a trem, but they are out there. Okay, I hope that wasn't too much information. This is the advice that I would give someone buying their first guitar. It's not advice that I typically see people giving online. If you liked this video, please go ahead, like the video, subscribe, and click the bell icon. That way you're going to get notified when I post reviews of all of the guitars that I've showed you here today.